widely used traditional concoction has been found to contain various harmful chemicals. What is this herbal mixture and what are the dangers of using it? Stay with us to find out.
Also on the breakfast, human rights lawyer Femi Falana wants Nigerian courts to stop imposing politicians on Nigerians. Has this been the case and why? We have discussion on this ahead.
And in Of the Press, we bring you in-depth analysis of today's major newspaper headlines. Also, we have a top trending segment as well up next right here on The Breakfast. All right, we're back in all blue. The really Francis Messi has a black, so you're back in black and blue. My name is Kofi Bartels. Welcome to another interesting episode of The Breakfast.
And I am Messi Bopo. It's good to have you join us this beautiful morning.
All right. Messi, you weren't here yesterday. You know this set is not complete without you.
Of course.
It was looking a bit darker, but today is brighter. Maybe it's because you're here.
Kofi, why are you trying to wash me now? The way we say it.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Have you back. We have a lot to talk about. I can't wait to have the first conversation because it concerns something that a lot of people hold dear. In fact, the guy who did the findings and the research yesterday told me on phone that people are attacking him. He's receiving insults and abuse, online because of the information he came out with.
What happens to being Kwame Nkrumah and
Nelson Mandela? Okay, he should become a hero. People are saying that. You know what? You're just sort of discredit you medical doctor. So we'll look at that. I can't wait for that. But let's start with, of course, a look at what's been trending in the social space, like we always do, right here on The Breakfast. The Ekweremadu case is on. Yesterday, I think one of the papers had the wife and the daughter on its front page as they make their way to the court in London there. This is a central criminal court. They started from a lower court and they've gone to central criminal court in London, the United Kingdom. It has moved the trial of former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu for alleged organ harvesting from May 2023 to January 31, 2023. So it's come a bit closer. Now, the Old Bailey agreed that arguments would be heard on December 16 or 19 this year before the commencement of the trial in January. So everything is just pre-trial, procedures. Of course, we all know what Ekweremadu and his wife have been facing. They were arrested on June 23, charged with conspiracy to traffic a person for organ harvesting in violation of the Modern Slavery Act of 2015. Now, Ekweremadu was not in court yesterday, but his wife was there. His daughter was also there as well. She's the one who's had this health condition, and they wanted a donor. Of course, Nigerians had come up with a lot of reactions to this when it first broke, but it seems it's dying down a bit. We also will inform you that last week the Honorable Justice in the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered the interim forfeiture of Ekweremadu's assets following an ex parte motion filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against the former Deputy Senate President. A lot of a reaction to this online, but that's the story.
Well, usually when you say that you have a case in court, it's off conversations and what have you, and so everyone probably will be looking at and anticipating that particular court hearing come January 31st, 2023. That's what it will be. But unfortunately, this is happening to the Ekweremadus. We haven't really had any reports that the daughter has actually gotten the organ being transferred. It might just be a difficult one. We also back home here, there are reports of properties that probably would have been confiscated by the authorities for whatever reason, and that's in his absentia, and that's a lot to grapple with. But one question that I'd like to ask as we move away to the next is, just imagine, I want you to paint a picture in your mind that we have a health system that works, a healthcare system that works, that every issue can be treated and be taken care of in Nigeria. would there be any reason for the Ekweremadus to move from Nigeria outside, I mean, to any other parts of the world to seek for medical consent? Just imagine if we can actually handle it, if we have what it takes, we have the best hospitals right here. There'll be no need for that, really. But it has happened, and fingers across, we would continue to follow court proceedings and see how far, that actually goes. And that's it.
I mean, it's an interesting one. I think people agree that the initial furore that greeted this Ekweremadu announcement, he was being charged with human trafficking, trafficking in minor person, came out not to be as it was or seemed to be. The youngster, it was found, from the findings in investigation in Nigeria, was not a minor, and he was not the age he was claiming to be. So now that has been taken off the table, and what we're seeing is, okay, it's human trafficking. The daughter has a kidney issue, needs a donor. They talk to the guy, can you help us? He says yes. They get to the UK, they realize that the guy is not a match, and then the guy hears that, oh, they're about to take me back to Nigeria, and someone advises him, well, what you can do is run away, and then he runs away. Go to a police station, tell them that you are below 18 years old, and you were brought to the UK to donate your organ, blah, 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 and then this is what the boy does. And the man and his wife are arrested and, detained, only for Nigerians, after doing their investigations, to find out that this boy is not below 18 or 16. He's not 16 years of age, as he said he was. So there's a lot about this case that does not sit well with people, having found out the real situation of things. And I've always said to people, see, if you don't like politicians, that's fair. But, when you have a holistic view about every single case, I spoke to my friends in the UK who tell me that this is something that happens a lot, where you can, because it's one of the things they do there is it's expensive to have someone who you pay £50 an hour to take care of your toddler or your child, your baby, as a nanny, babysitter. So what they can do is they can have some family members or friends, wives of their friends, or family friends, come over to the UK on a work visa. That's even a way of helping them, all right? Helping them relocate, helping them jackpot, as we say in this part of the world. So they would bring the people over from the UK, come stay with us, we'll register you as a worker. We might not pay you the entire £50 an hour, but we're going to pay you something that can enable you to start, maybe when you're not, looking after the child, you can go to school, get your degree or certificate, and then after some time, when a child grows, you can start working. Now we've heard of several stories that my friends would tell me, people I know who stay in the UK, that sometimes it backfires because the person involved, if they don't like the condition or they are not happy or something like that, they can just walk into any police station and say they are being victimized, say they're being abused and all sorts of things. And the wife and husband will be arrested and thrown in prison, taken to court. And they most likely will come out guilty because they usually frown heavily on anything that relates or resembles, human trafficking, slavery, etc. So that is an issue. And there are a number of Nigerian families, husband and wife, who innocently brought people over from Nigeria to help them babysit and to pay them something, help them start a new life. They're also being helped. And people just walked into police station. Maybe there was a disagreement or something. They just walked into the police station and say, hey, I'm being abused. I was beaten. I was this, I was that. And they wouldn't even wait to hear anything. They would just arrest them and take them to court. They're people. So now some persons who I know who maybe had wanted to, hire nannies, get some family members from Nigeria. Say, okay, come, let's help you start a new life, but you work for us, or you be in a house and everything, and then let's take it from there. They've said, okay, I know someone said he's not doing it again because he's seen what's happened to his, his friends, and it's not a palatable thing at all. So this boy must have gotten that information, say, okay, this is what he can do. And when he heard that he was going to be brought back to Nigeria because the organ didn't match, it was plan B. Plan B is to run away and tell the police that he's being beaten and all that kind of thing, and he's 16 years old. For me, Mercy, the fact that he'd already lied, about his age, is enough. But
if you look at all of that, I mean, see, the laws actually work differently, and that's why you remember sometime we had a conversation about the UAE and the lady who has been sentenced to jail just because of a post that she made on social media following the laws that actually regulate the social media space in the UAE is what we talk about. So yes, all of this might be very important, but if you juxtapose that, with what is applicable, especially when you make reference, to the laws or the acts that exist in that particular country, that's how it works. I feel it's a very sorry situation.
That's how it works?
We're saying that. So, because at this point now, you begin to say, okay, the person lied and all of that. But when you look at the case, when you look at the issues, however, you find out that they don't think, there's no excuse. So you are saying they're making reference to, the Slavery Act of 2015 or thereabout. And that's a lot to grapple with. So whether or not all of this might be very true and it's important, but when you look at what, the law actually states, it doesn't correlate. And so it becomes a problem.
I'm not saying it correlates or doesn't.
No, I understand.
But can I respond to that?
Why not?
The case is ongoing and they will establish that. So what I'm saying is that for me, as somebody in this country observing, I see a young man who, I'm not talking about whether they're guilty of human trafficking or not. I'm not talking about whether they are guilty of flouting the laws in the UK or not. I'm just saying, for me, looking at the situation, I see a young man who was who had decided he doesn't want to come back to Nigeria and made the best of what he could do, utilizing. Can I complete myself? Utilizing the system there to his favor. That's all I'm saying. That's what I see. But of course, like I've just said, as to whether the laws were flouted, that will be left for the court to decide, which we are waiting to happen. So I'm not referring to that. But I just gave some examples of what's been happening in the UK. You can go and verify, like some will say. There are people who, I know of a case of a woman who was taken to the UK by a man, from her village. The man said he wants to marry from his village. Came here, took a woman there, and after a while, the lady was told by the guy to go to school, just start to learn nursing. I'll be quick about it, and she didn't want to do that. She felt that it was a menial thing for her to learn, or some kind of other course or something like that. And he found a job for her. Long and short of it is the lady didn't like the job she was doing. It was sort of like a menial job, and she ran away, and she went to report to the police and everything that. The guy was victimizing her, and they arrested him. But long and short of it is he's out of jail now, and the thing turned against the woman, and they deported her. So let's see how it goes, okay? But
which is very important, because we don't begin to preempt. I know that we're not in the UK, but
I'm telling you what I read. The courts will decide.
No, but it's fine. The courts will decide. But you see, there's no way we're going to have this conversation.
I think we're here to analyze. This is my own analysis.
I understand, but you see, I understand that we're not in the United Kingdom, we're Nigeria, and so maybe it's okay to begin to talk about it. But you know that usually when you have a case already in court, because there's no how we're going to talk about all of this.
You have to understand.
That does not,
I have not said they're not guilty of human trafficking. Listen to what I said.
So it's dicey. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that I see a young man who heard he was going to be deported and didn't want to come back. That's what I'm saying. As far as human trafficking is concerned, there are a lot of dynamics to it, and the court will decide.
Yeah, so the next one, the next issue on the case is about the Delta State government, who's released 5 billion naira for pension and arrears. And that has gotten a lot of Nigerians talking. Some people are quite excited, others are indifferent about it.
Yes, indeed, Mercy. This is quite an interesting one. The governor for Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, he's a running mate to the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. He's he made an appearance, a controversial appearance, albeit at the recently conducted presidential town hall event in Abuja. The Delta State government has released that amount of money, 5 billion naira for the payment of pension arrears to retirees in the state. And this information was put out by the Commissioner of Information. No surprises there. Charles Aniago, who said the sum of 2.5 billion naira was released for the payment of pension arrears for the state pensioners, while 2.5 billion naira was released as grant to local government pensions bureau for the payment of local government and primary school retirees. That's nice. Now, some people feel, now while the commissioner says, the reason for doing this is was part of the government's efforts at ameliorating the plight of affected senior citizens in the state. Okay, so that's that, ameliorating the plight. But people are asking, Mercy, did you just get this money, or you had the money that you could do something to help these pensioners, but you didn't? And some people, will point to, and are pointing to, that town hall event where Okowa was sent to represent Atiku Abubakar. He was on stage, Mercy, with Peter Gregory Obi, who is a presidential candidate of Labour Party, and some rank him as a frontrunner in the race. Whilst they were arguing and everything, Obi was a governor, so he kept saying, okay, I never stole a dime of Imo State money when I was governor of Imo State. I never did this. I think one of the things he did was to attack Okowa, and he asked Okowa, have you paid pensions in your state? You understand? Anambra, sorry, my producers, technical have told me Anambra, not Imo State. Thank you. So one of the things he asked Okowa was, have you paid pensioners? Are you not owing pensioners in your state? And so people feel this was out of shame. Okowa had to release, but who are we to know? What information Commissioner Aniago is saying is the government made this gesture, and I don't know why they call it a gesture, people's entitlement, as part of efforts to ameliorate the plight of senior citizens in the state who are affected. So, why wait this long? That's why people feel that Okowa is acting now, because Obi, how do you call it again, made a public show of him and asked him publicly in front of the whole world, are you not owing pensions in your state?
Well, it's quite unfortunate, just like you mentioned. Why would you say that is a gesture? So do we even have the people in the system that understand what's going on if you call an entitlement? We're looking at senior citizens who have actually worked and they're entitled to all of this, and you say it's a gesture. What sort of gesture? But it's, the culture that we're in. We constantly, over time, begin to, put our hands together for a job that needs to be done. Imagine that you're hired to do a job. You have to do the job, and that's what it requires. Do you need, extra for the job that you ought to do? That's what it is. You should pay them, and there's no reason why. But I remember vividly that in 2015 that Okowa had complained, and members of his cabinet about being the fact that they inherited, a pension that was not paid. So they inherited debts. That's what you talk about. But so much for the continuity, government as a continuum, and that's what it is. So he inherited it. He has to pay. He's complained about it. And however, there's also another complaint about the type of pension scheme that's been operated, where you have the contributory pension scheme and you have the other pension scheme. So these are the issues, really. It's been reported that, out of the 36 state governors, only 8 of them are still, keeping up with it. But you see, this is why government is in place. So if you say government is a continuum, then that's what it is. It's unfortunate that people would have to inherit debts, as we had. We head towards 2023. Whoever will be taking over from, maybe say the central government or the component would probably be inheriting a lot. Policies implemented that have not been implemented, and, debts as well. Quite unfortunate, but I think that if you look at this on this other part of the divide, especially where you find out that people have given their time, committed themselves, to the service or to the work, that deserve to be paid, and these are senior citizens. It's a lot, so no excuse. But whatever it is, some people say at all, I winch. So it's a good thing.
All right, the final one here, which I'll take, happens to be coming from Uganda, and this is a story of a young man a Twitter user from Uganda. I mean, how many times we take trending stories from outside the country? But this is from Uganda. He went online on Twitter to flaunt a mansion he built, by himself. I wish we could show it on the screen so people understand what we're talking about. Now, he captioned the photo on Twitter. This is what he said. "Finally a homeowner, my humble mansion." This is what he put out on Twitter. "Finally a homeowner, my humble mansion." And it caused some stir on Twitter because the house you can see there is very small. Messi, I'm sure you can see what we're talking. It's very small. But people were sort of impressed at the fact that, oh, well, somebody has done something to start a life. I looked at this building, to try and see where the windows are, where he would have is it a self-con, is it a room and parlor, we call it here, is it a studio apartment? But this is what he says, "My humble mansion." And he calls it a mansion. I mean, in this day and age when, young people are trying their best to survive in life, a lot of people were impressed that this young guy had built a house at this age. Saying it's not easy, say you built a house, that's an impressive one. So he shared this photo showing his property. A lot of people on Twitter were, commending him. But some people were also laughing at him, Mercy, believe it or not, some people were also laughing at him. Now, this small property, like you can see, is sitting on a small piece of land without any walls, no hedges. It seems it has 2 windows from what we can see here for ventilation, very small windows. It looks newly built, several leftover sand beside building, so it seems to built it newly. So some were impressed. Those commenting on Twitter were impressed by his boldness to showcase this property and his doggedness to start something, no matter how small in life. But others seized the opportunity to laugh at this man who calls himself Real Saleh Yuji from Uganda. Some were laughing, and they also passed some sarcastic remarks under his tweet. One person says, "Congratulations, man. I don't even know you, but I do know what it means to work hard for a dream and see it come to pass. One day this house will be the smallest you will have after getting another mansion, because God is watching how grateful you are. Keep grinding, King," is what he says. Some people were laughing and all that. Mercy, let's just...
Yeah. Well, so first of all, when I saw that picture and also saw the story, I thought about it. Could this really be real? What happens on social media these days, it could be Photoshop, but it doesn't really look like it's Photoshop. And it could also be one of those things that a lot of people do on social media. Some people will say it's for the clouds, and it could just be, we're putting this just to get, that particular conversation, get people engaged with. But mixed feeling. Very commendable. I mean, some people have talked about dreams and what have you, and that's a dream. But to be very honest, that's not a mansion, because a mansion is a large, impressive building, and that's not it. But it's, it's a structure. As much as it covers him, that's number one. And we hope that, he building it meets the required standard. We don't wake up one day also and hear that his supposed mansion has collapsed on him and he's safe inside of it. Then to talk about it, we applaud him and we congratulate him as well and celebrate him. But, it's really great. It's okay to celebrate your little wins, whatever it is. You never can tell. Some people will say success, whoever defines success, depends on who is defining it. So your definition of success and my definition might just be different. And so that's why he called it a mansion. But in its true sense, that's not a mansion. It's just, one structure somewhere.
To him, it's a mansion.
That's what I'm saying. Because whoever's defining success has his own definition of it. Success to him might just mean that he has a structure, and that for him is a mansion. But I'm also saying that that's not a mansion in its true sense.
We heard you saying to him, it is
that's
a mansion.
And it's very... No. I said, as long as he's safe inside of it, it won't collapse.
How many people
suffocate.
have built a house?
It's fine. So we commend you, President Sami.
But Messi says it's not a mansion. Yeah.
But it's not a mansion.
All right. To you, it's a mansion, bro. Speak your truth. Speak your truth, man. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at what the papers are saying, and off the press, please stay with us.